I rewatched Dial of Destiny on Disney Plus last night, and my experience was such that I felt I had to make a video altering my previous review. By sheer coincidence, news broke overnight and the internets are aflame.
Listen to me. Your crew is in complete control of the situation.
I'll get to the breaking news in a minute, but first I want to get to my thoughts on my second viewing of the film because it changed in a way I really wasn't expecting it to. There are some movies that get better for me the second time around, Solo being a decent example, and maybe that happens because my expectations are more aligned with reality.
I gather this was not one of those times.
It was not. It was so much worse. It felt longer. It felt duller. It was utterly lifeless. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's cringy, smug, I don't even want to call it a performance, was even more of a cheese grater on my soul.
Oh, can we get shirts of that?
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Totally tits.
Action movies in general are supposed to be fun and exciting, and indie should be on a whole other level, way above that. Films like Raiders have a nearly infinite replayability factor. I'm more than happy to own the original trilogy in 4K and watch them over and over again till the end of time. But I will never watch this film again. Even the train sequence at the beginning, arguably the best part of the movie, was just flat. Flat enough to use one of the worst words you can possibly use in describing a movie. Boring.
Its only hope is if MST or Riff Tracks can do something with it.
Well, that would get me interested, definitely. In my initial review video, I placed Dial above Crystal Skull.
You chose poorly.
I am issuing a rare retraction. Crystal Skull, for all of its faults, still has more fun and life in it than this thing. And this brings us to the new developments, where director James Mangold admits that he had been lying. This goes all the way back to 2018, when Steven Spielberg suddenly noped out, also hinting that in the future, Indy could be a woman.
But why would he drop out of what would be his signature series? I mean, really?
Could it be that his buddy George wasn't there anymore? Could it be because he was forced to deal with someone else?
Fuck Indiana Jones, put a chick in it and make her name it gay!
And wisely saw the writing on the wall.
Right you are, Doge. So he noped out of the production, dropping that hint about a female Indy, knowing full well that it would be a nuclear bomb in the internet community, one that no refrigerator could protect you from, as a warning. It's funny how this even dovetails into the snub incident at the Indy premiere. Enter James Mangold, who is willing to do his Dark Lord's bidding.
There you are, Miss Kennedy, the linguine and clam sauce.
Excuse me, I believe I asked you to put a chick in this and make her gay.
It's now been revealed that the original version of Indy 5 would have involved Short Round, and a whole lot more Marion.
And zombies.
Yes, and zombies. This makes a whole lot of sense, not only narratively, but Ke Huy Quan is quite the hot commodity these days. But Mangold threw all of that out the window and hired new writers. This came as quite a shock to Karen Allen. She said, when Steven was still going to direct the film, I didn't have the opportunity to read any of those scripts, although I know that Marion was much more involved in the story at that juncture. Steven and I had spoken after he decided he was going to step down as director, and he said to me, "You're going to love working with James Mangold." And I said, "Yeah, great." So I knew James had hired new writers and that there was going to be a whole new approach with a new director and new writers, but I was really going into the unknown. And the next thing I knew, I was reading a script that told Dial of Destiny's story, and of course, I was disappointed. I had thought that I would be majorly a part of the film, and that was just not the direction they decided to go. I mean, you could have knocked me over with a feather when I read it. Soon after that, shooting started and leaks started to flow, primarily from Doomcock, who Mangold repeatedly attacked and shamed on Twitter. Apparently, allegedly, 6 different versions of the film were in play, all of them resulting in Phoebe Waller-Bridge ending up wearing the hat and the whip. Test audiences loathed all of these versions. In at least one of these versions, the Battle of Syracuse sequence we see at the end of the film now was much earlier in the movie. In the climax of this version of the film, the dial works as Voller thinks it does, and they travel back to 1938. So Indy and the gang go to stop him. Indy meets his younger self, and that younger self sacrifices himself to save Helena's life, and old Indy fades from existence, Marty McFly style. We know that Bob Iger saw at least one of these versions, likely this one, and there was an angry phone call to Kathleen Kennedy to fix it.
So they moved the Battle of Syracuse to the end of the film and slapped the end scene with Marion in.
Exactly, which is why that entire sequence feels scrapbook and messy and rushed. And remember, this whole time, Mangold is still furiously arguing with people online about whether these reshoots are happening, going as far as attacking John Williams, who publicly stated at a performance that they were going back into reshoots and he had more scoring to do. When the internet pointed that out to Mangold, he replied, "John was mistaken. Maybe read Twitter too much. We're not shooting new endings, never did. The film is 99% finished and being rated by the MPAA. This imagined zany ending with Indy being erased is a fever dream of wounded folks angry about other films I did not make."
Well, he's right in the sense that since he was forced to reshoot the end of the movie, the zany film was one he technically did not make.
Right you are, Doge, but to go as far as to call a legend like John Williams a liar, maybe that's just a bridge too far. Or maybe I should say a fridge too far. And of course, you know exactly where all of this is going. From Cosmic Book News, Indiana Jones rumors right, ending changed, confirms James Mangold. It turns out those Indiana Jones 5 rumors were right, as director James Mangold has admitted the ending to the film was changed. Recall all the controversy as rumors offered that test screenings were held featuring different endings that audiences absolutely loathed. The endings are said to have included Phoebe Waller-Bridge replacing Harrison Ford at the request of Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. Harrison himself also echoed this. Harrison Ford admits Lucasfilm reworked ending of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny appears to confirm leaks James Mangold previously denied. Mangold confirmed the multiple versions of the movie and also confirms an ending had the older Indiana Jones returning to the time of the younger Indiana Jones in the 30s from the start of the movie. Again, just as the leak said. Mangold said, as we got there, it started occurring to me that A, that's what the audience is going to be anticipating and therefore not very surprising to them, and B, we'd be plunged just back into the opening of the film, only with a 79-year-old Indy running around. I felt we needed something more shocking, something bolder, and something that also affected Indy. If he had gone back to Nazi Germany, he would simply be a hero trying to stop Voller from doing his plan.
Isn't that what heroes are supposed to do?
If he ended up where he does end up in the film, he was going to be facing bigger questions about his own life and what he studied all his life. And I thought that was going to be more interesting, and also usually bolder is better if you can do it. Judging from the leaks, Mangold nixed the Return to Nazi Germany ending, said to be at the request of Bob Iger, and quickly wrapped things up in Rome.
The angry phone call to Kennedy.
Exactly. Also recall how, following the leaks, James Mangold cursed out and harassed fans online, including YouTuber Doomcock, who now we know was right all along. Mangold stopped just short of admitting that there was a plan to replace Indy. He didn't apologize to Doomcock or the others he attacked. He didn't apologize to John Williams. He didn't apologize for lying.
Sheer fucking hubris.
And now Kennedy has him working on a Star Wars movie? Sounds like that was the carrot she dangled to get him to play ball.
And I think that's going to go right out the door along with all the other supposed Star Wars movies that were in production that went away, like the Rian Johnson trilogy, the trilogy from the Game of Thrones guys, and the billion other movies that'll never see the light of day. We know Mangold is a good director. Logan stands as one of the best comic book movies of all time.
310 to Yuma, girl interrupted. Walk the Line, The Wolverine, Ford v Ferrari.
So is this why Spielberg stepped down? Was all of this mess the result of Mangold struggling to make Kennedy happy and just get through it? Or is he losing his touch? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and stay fresh, cheese bags.